Welcome here to Orlando. It is great to see you guys again. And so we approach this by looking at what's going on in the business environment, what's important these days. Based on that, how do we think you should be reacting, or what are you actually doing? And finally, we take that to how can we actually help you? And today's discussion will follow very much in that track. I would say fundamentally from the economic viewpoint, things haven't changed radically from last year. And yet, amongst this time of turmoil, amongst this time of crisis, if you will, we're still seeing a lot of hope. Why is there hope? Why is there hope? And we think that there is hope not just because of the economic environment. We think there's something else going on that exacerbates this situation. And what is that? Fundamentally, we see that there are three big trends which are really impacting business today, which are the focal point of what we believe people need to be putting their attention on. The news here is that these concepts, some of which we've been talking about or looking at a bit on the side, are actually coming into reality. They're coming into the mainstream. They're coming in to impact our business in a really big way. Let's take a look at each of these independently. And so now, as you start doing the math, you have more suppliers in more locations of more types of products. You're putting them together in more ways, more micro markets. The world just got a whole lot more complex. This stat just blows me away. If you think about all the information, everything from the dawn of time up until 2003, all that information, in 2 days, we recreated. In 2 days. Unsurprisingly, a large number of executives expect the roles and the relationships to change and expect collaborative relationships. And so I spent a lot of time, much more time than I ever like to, in stores and buying all these things. And I never, ever buy anything without whipping out my little iPhone, looking at it, and then going up to Yelp, what store should I be at, and is there a consumer report, who rates this? It's just right there at my fingertips. I got my information right here, thank you very much. And I'm not alone. 50% of the world's population is younger than 25. That's really scary, because what that means to me is I got to look at my daughter. And she is not the unusual one. She actually is the norm. Whenever you start with concepts at the beginning, you then have to choose an area, a domain. Where do you want to focus? So we think a good place to start is what we call this idea to delivery network. So I'm going to go now through each of those three areas, the complexity of networks, the information, and the people. And within this context of an idea to delivery, explore what some of the leaders are doing and see if we can't glean some lessons from that. Turns out that the guys who do this well, working with complex networks, are innovating faster, reducing their inventories, and they're managing their risks. In fact, this is somewhat stunning. The top 30% of the best-in-class manufacturers are getting 25% of their revenue from new products, as compared to, well, the remainder, who are getting only 5%. What we have here is a company. First surprising point was, actually a few years back, they were able to handle custom orders, large-scale custom orders. And they were able to get that from request, creation, and shipped out within 4 weeks. But wow, 4 weeks, that's pretty fast. Aha, newsflash. They've now been working on their processes and such. They've got that down now to 4 days. Now that is really thriving in a complex business environment. Let's move on to information. More and more devices out there. Now that's both good and bad. It's bad, of course, because that means we create more information. So we're contributing to the problem. But it's good because it means more and more people are able to get that information when and where they need it. Now how about people? So leveraging social media, leveraging the data, leveraging the mobile devices, getting into these communities and engaging with these communities is what we see leaders doing. So now, how can we really help you run better? Well, we believe the way to view this is focusing our efforts on operating better, collaborating better, and deciding better. The way to really change the business is to look at it from the overall end-to-end business process. And what we do is we deliver these end-to-end business processes. From the last time I was on stage, this time, we've actually built a whole organization around this productization of the small pieces. Rapid deployment solutions, they're called. However, I typically find in situations like this, it's much, much better if you can bring that to life and actually see it in operation. Could I have Mr. Gordon Stewart please come up on stage? And to accompany Gordon Stewart, can I please have on stage Mr. Sapin Sider?
Hi, Richard.
So, Mr. Solution, Mr. Problem.
Hi, Gordon.
Take it away.
How are you?
All right. Now, as many of you probably read about in the press, at the beginning of this year, we went out and hired a hotshot CEO who promptly went out and promised really aggressive top-line revenue numbers to the street. Now, unfortunately, my job is to actually deliver that revenue. Before I actually place this big bet, I'd like to do a bit of analysis to see if the market that we believe exists actually exists.
I'm going to try to show you one of the things that we're implementing. It's a new solution from SAP. It's focused on sales and operations planning. You'll see that the new Letter phone that we're envisioning is going to be a pretty significant contributor to our revenue. Now, the challenge is, can you actually make it happen?
And when we've been in the situation in the past of trying to bring new products into new markets, we've done a really bad job of understanding what are the features that customers really want in our products.
The things that we're using is a product called SAP Event Insight. Collecting information not just focused on what's happening in terms of Twitter or Facebook.
I feel like our fundamental problem has been one of coordination.
I'm going to show the idea management tool, the PLM solution idea management tool, working together with one of our latest products called Streamwork. And here's an example of how we can do that. So we've identified a couple more connections, maybe to some other projects, and maybe to some other people.
I'm wondering if we can execute an RFP now in a way that will enable me to make a data-driven decision.
The tool that we use here is SAP's solution called Procurement. It's an on-demand solution. And it looks like Fluid Satellite is one of the suppliers who we should engage with. And if you'd like, but we can also enable you to actually approve a transaction on your mobile device too.
The release of the new Letter line of phones has been a runaway success. But what I really miss is the ability to kind of drill into my data to get the story behind the story, understand really what's going on, which is at the end of the day, the story I want to be able to tell to our shareholders.
Very quickly, what we can do with SAP's new solution called Sales on Demand. So we can give you all of those projections for the future. But there's one really cool thing that I want to show you, which is we can also give you a sense of what is happening related to the sales activity in real time.
And what I now see is that, I can love this system as well, and I can get real benefit from this system as well. It can help me run my business, which is really fantastic. And
now I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about how do we see our role in helping you be successful. And our product strategy has not changed. Many of you have heard a lot about what we've been doing this last year. Clearly, mobility is a big one. With the acquisition bringing Sybase into our family, we have a world-leading, market-leading capability to deliver a mobile platform, and we're rapidly building applications on top of that. And obviously, there's been a lot of work with HANA. And HANA is the whole in-memory, call and restore technology that lets you deal with big data, massive amounts of data, in incredible time periods. One of the things that I mentioned a couple years back is technology for technology's sake actually isn't the right approach. What you really want to do is figure out what are the key processes that matter to you right now, and you want to invest in improving the people, process, and technology around those processes. We also believe in helping you shift your investment. We're putting a big effort into reducing the amount of time that are spent on the mundane, allowing you to invest your hard-earned money to where it'll have the most impact, be the most strategic. And what does it take to be successful? It takes a lot of what we've talked about in former years. That hasn't gone away. That's still true. We still do need to be saving and saving and saving and investing for the growth. But these trends here, the complexity of networks, the onslaught of information, and the ever-changing nature of information, where I go to get it, how I contribute to it, how I interact with it, and the people, the makeup of the people, where they are, how old they are, but more importantly, their habits, their preferences, their reliance on mobility, on the information that they seek to guide them in making the decisions, in how you engage your customers, your employees, your partners. These are now not just neat ideas, things that we should take under advisement because someday they'll be relevant. These are relevant today, they're here, they're now. It's very important. Fundamentally, this can be brought together as a call to action, if you will. When you're thinking about the projects, when you're thinking about what to do, you should be driving towards operating better, collaborating better, and deciding better. So although I talk an awful lot about business, the business environment, and how businesses can run better, fundamentally at SAP, we're not just about making you make more money. We're about making you do your job as best you can, and together we make the world run better. Our overall purpose is to make the world run better. So with that, I thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a good next several days at this wonderful conference.